Hi, and welcome to my YouTube channel, where it's all about creating a virtual assistant. Let's go! In this tutorial, we're gonna need an API key from the OpenAI.com website to connect to the ChatGPT API. We head over to OpenAI.com, link is in the description, and if you're new here, please register first, otherwise we can log in. In this screen we have three options and we choose API. Next, we go to our personal settings and view API keys to create a new secret key. We call it a virtual assistant. Copy your key and remember, the key will only show here once, so if you close this window you cannot view your key anymore and you have to delete it and create a new one. We're gonna use this key in our tutorial. Here we go. I'm very excited about today, because today we're gonna connect the digital brain to our virtual assistant using the OpenAI API to connect with the ChatGPT model. In our project folder, I've created a new file called .env. This file is needed to store all the API keys we need in the entire project without storing them in the individual scripts. That's because if you want to share an individual script with somebody, you automatically share your API key. That's not what we want. So we've created a file called .env. This will handle all our environment variables for us. I declared OpenAI API key as a name for the variable, and here I store my API key. Next, I've created a new folder in our virtual assistant project folder called connectors. In this folder, we're gonna store all our connection scripts with the APIs. First, we start with the ChatGPT connector.py file. And here's where the magic happens. At the beginning of the script, we need to import some stuff. We import os. From .env, we import load.env. And of course, we import our OpenAI library. Now let's import the environment variables in our script. We do so by running the function load.env. Next, we're gonna connect the OpenAI API key to our OpenAI API. We do so by OpenAI.API key and we insert the environment variable OpenAI API key as we've just declared in the .env file. Now let's create some magic. I made a class called Digital Brain to act as the digital brain of the whole virtual assistant. In this class, I define an init with the self variable and a job description. The job description is needed because when you create an object with digital brain, you can insert a job description as how the ChatGPT prompt need to act. For instance, act as a copywriter or act as a virtual assistant in our case. I declare the model, and the model will be the ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo model. I create a conversation list. This list is needed to store all the history of the conversation, so ChatGPT will know what it previously answered to us. In this conversation, we create the first entry with the append function, and we use the role system. More about these roles later in this tutorial. And as a content, we use job description. So that will be the text of the job description, how ChatGPT needs to act. Now it's time to make the function called generate response. This function will allow us to generate an interaction with the ChatGPT model. We use the self variable and we declare a question variable here. So when we call the generate response function, we can put in a question there. We want to append to the conversation as a role user our question. Then we want to generate the response. The response is created by the OpenAI library, chat completion class, create function. The create function needs to have two variables. One is the model variable, that will be our ChatGPT 3.5 turbo model, and it needs messages. In our case, we load the whole conversation list into messages. Next we want to generate a result, and our result will be response, choices, zero key, message and content. As a last thing we need to do, we need to store the result in our conversation list as well. So conversation append, role assistant, content result. And now it's time to tell you something more about the different role types of the ChatGPT prompt. We have system, user and assistant. In the system role, we can declare how the ChatGPT model will act. So we put in our job description there, so ChatGPT will know how to act, in our case as a virtual assistant. In the user role, we put in our questions, like we actually on the OpenAI website typing in our questions there. The assistant role is needed for ChatGPT to recognize what it answered before. So we have the interaction between the user and the assistant. Next we're gonna return the whole result to our main file called app.py. And here we're gonna load our class, we create a new object and we ask a question. So let's go. From connectors.chatgpt connector, that's the connector file we've just created, we want to import our digital brain. Now we create a virtual assistant with our digital brain class, and here we put in the job description we needed. So act as a virtual assistant called Dorothy, respond only in English, no more than 50 words. I use a word cap here because I don't want large pieces of text in my test phase yet. You can always scale this down to 10 or 25 or scale it up to 100 or even 1000. Now we want to generate a response. We call this the intro and we say to our virtual assistant, generate response and introduce yourself please. If we print the intro, let's see what happens. It will make a connection to our virtual assistant, say what the role it has to take, and here's our answer. Hello, I'm Dorothy, your virtual assistant. I'm here to assist you with any tasks or questions you may have. Just let me know how I can help, and I do my best to assist you. Now to show you that the conversation list is actually building up a chat history, we're gonna ask ChatGPT two questions. First, we're gonna ask to tell something about Spain, and the second question, tell me the capital city without mentioning Spain. Let's go. All I need to do is print the second question and we're good to go. This is great. First it's gonna explain something about Spain, and the capital city is Madrid, of course. So that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below.